Tokyo gets an unwanted gift on Christmas night. ESP terrorists have taken over the Parliament House and are floating it above the city. The leader of the terrorist group, T0ky0 is demanding ESPs are the new rulers, and their only option for survival is to bow down to them. The lawmakers are taken hostage while the guards are mercilessly slain in bloodied fashion. Even down on the ground, more havoc and chaos as the ESP terrorists continue to attack the armed forces and public. All that is left for the public is to pray for the appearance of the white girl, who once saved them from a similar incident last time. A helicopter is seen approaching the floating Parliament House. Minami thinks the white girl is on board and teleports there. To her disappointment, only the SWAT personnel. She kills them all and crashes the helicopter. On the ground, she engages with a special agent, Toru, and bike-riding colleague, Natsuki. Although they have permission to use force to eradicate the threat, Masaki Shindu wants Minami captured alive. How do you catch a teleporter anyway? Toru's plan is to let Natsuki crash her bike into Minami. At that moment, he fires into the bike's tank. Did he get her? What a waste of such a cool bike. However, T0ky0 wants Minami to retreat and not be too hasty because he believes the white girl will arrive in time. The people inside a building seeking safety are discussing if the white girl will ever shows up. Some are skeptical and comparing the white girl to others ESPs as a troublemaker. Poor little Nana girl must have her heart broken hearing that. Ayumu remains positive that she will protect everyone if she was here. After all, ESPs are humans too. He is surprised to see his friend, Murasaki, wandering around. She can't sit by and let nothing happen. She is trying to locate if Peggy is still alive. And as she uses her power, she sees a vision that the Parliament House is going to be dropped at a great height. Nana rushes out to Ayumu and hopes he could relay a thank you message to the white girl. Suddenly a truck comes speeding into the scene. Although Ayumu saves her, the truck crashes into the building. The truck is loaded with bombs and set to go off in 5 minutes. Nana is concerned that her mom is trapped inside, but mad ESP lady creates an air barrier preventing anybody from getting close. Ayumu and Murasaki don't give up trying to smash the barrier even though it is futile. Don't give up hope till it's over. Mad ESP lady laughs at their attempt, when suddenly she gets punched away by a much powerful air force by Kabushi. Then Murasaki disarms the bomb. And now for the moment everyone has been waiting for. Because here comes Rinka Urashiba, the white girl with her flashy entrance, giving the baddie her skull-crushing sidekick. The heroine has arrived just in time. While she is defeating the ESP enemy, we delve into her flashback on how she got her power. Rinka was just a normal girl. Until one day she found herself naked and in the room of her downstairs neighbor. I think the old man could have died of heart attack. She tries to call her father, Rindu, for help, but he is not picking up. Seems when she is not concentrating, things slip through her hand and she herself could pass through solid objects. Suddenly Kyoutaru barges in, but Rinka doesn't know him. On her way to school, she saw a flying penguin. She follows it to a tower with glowing fish swimming around it. Kyoutaru was there too and is amazed she could see the fish. Then the group of fish swim right through her. Meanwhile, Rindu, he was dreaming of those glowing fish. He panics when he hears the voice message Rinka left behind and frantically goes to look for her. At the same time, a strange phenomenon of magnetic waves seems to attract metal objects, mainly cars, into a giant rolling ball. It is heading for her. Kyoutaru believes her father is inside it, and the glowing fish must be the source of his power. Thinking that those powers activated when he is awake, time to put him asleep before more destruction is caused. So she jumps right into the ball and lands her signature kick on her father. The moment he passes out, the ball falls apart. Kyoutaru then teleports them away and explains this is his ESP power. Rindu wakes up back at home and not remembering anything, but faintly remembers somebody kicking him. So Rinka ties him up back to sleep while she heads for work. When a police detective, Nabashima, comes into her workplace for investigation, she thinks she has been busted. However, he is here to seek answers for the Black Fist case. There is a spate of robberies on jewelry stores and art museums. CCTV footage shows a crowhead mask as the culprit. The only clue they got is that he teleports away. If that culprit is that Kyoutaru guy, Rinka is going to stop him first as she sneaks into the museum. However, all the guards are beaten up. The crowhead man just enters the room. Rinka unmasks him and beats him up upon confirming he is Kyoutaru. But he can't be the culprit if he just arrived. The real Black Fist is still here as the treasure isn't stolen. She is Kabushi and she doesn't give a damn about Kyoutaru's advice to use her power for good. Her power is invisibility. She knocks him out and fights Rinka. Can her fist connect even though she is a good boxer? However, Rinka is upset she is damaging important artifacts and treasures with historical value. Before Rinka gets punched, Kyoutaru takes the hit. It is what he needed so that he could teleport them outside as Rinka lands her signature kick. Kyoutaru hands over Kabushi to the police and tells them she's the real culprit. They just believe it like that. Later, Kyoutaru tells Rinka, and even quoting, that superhero line of gaining power means gaining responsibility. That is why it is their duty to uphold justice, as Aspers can only defeat other Aspers. He hopes she will continue to lend her strength. As long as those fish swim throughout the city, there will be a growing number of troublemaking Aspers. Nabeshima doesn't think Kabushi is the culprit as there is no evidence. When she wakes up from her hospital bed, she beats him up. Is that enough for your evidence? A Yakuza boss, Hothokeda, picks her up and invites her to join his gang. As Rindu is able to control his power, Rinka didn't realize Kyoutaru is a student in her school. Her friends must be thinking she already have a boyfriend. He drags her into finding more about the glowing fish. There is a lead. There is a flying penguin that flies through the air, always chases after the fish. Speaking of it, a bunch of catchers have successfully caught this penguin. Murasaki isn't happy they caught Peggy, her only friend. Rinka and Kyoutaru arrive in time to save them. The catcher's van is about to fall off the overhead bridge over some old lady, so Kyoutaru teleports it to the sea. It took a lot of energy, so he passes out and risks drowning. Rinka and Peggy dive in to save him. Murasaki explains how she met Peggy, but isn't allowed to keep it as her father disallowed pets. This is the only place Peggy lives, but now that it is found out, it can't stay here anymore. Rinka agrees to keep it as long as she keeps their identity a secret. Rinka and Kyoutaru follow Murasaki home as they want to see where she lives. She comes from a Yakuza family. She never told people because it tends to freak them out. But her father is good enough to welcome her friends. At the same time, Hothokeda and his goons see Aoyama and want him to give them control over his territories. Kabushi is not happy she ended up in some small-time gangster. And as she goes to the toilet, she sees Rinka. The latter got easily beaten up. Hothokeda has his samurai henchmen to teleport and kidnap Murasaki, Kyoutaru, and Peggy. Aoyama and his men fire at Hothokeda, but his body is bulletproof. He warns him that his daughter's life depends on his decision. The samurai knocks out Kyoutaru and Peggy to take Murasaki away. Kyoutaru cannot believe the samurai knows his name. Kabushi sets fire on Rinka's house before her eyes and warns never to show her face again. Rinka is distressed that her father is still inside, but thankfully he managed to escape. She blames herself for being cocky and everything before passing out. Rindu blames Kyoutaru for letting this happen to his daughter, but Rinka wants to focus on saving Murasaki and mentions Hothokeda's name. Kabushi finds out Hothokeda plans to make money by selling Esper powers to people, thanks to this samurai guy who can keep those fish. He then sends Maruyama to kill other people who come to their office. However, Kyoutaru is already there and finished beating up the other goons. He is not in a good mood. Maruyama is left escaping after realizing this dude is serious enough to kill. He couldn't escape in time and is smacked down into the hands of Rindu. Since he is swinging the small fry around like that, that should make him spill the beans. Murasaki is locked up and laments her uselessness. Then, a glowing fish entered the room and went inside of her body. Outside Hothokeda's hideout, Rindu will do the rescuing and wants Rinka to go back to the shop. But Rinka is stubborn, so she kicks him out cold instead. She wants him to teleport her inside the building so they can save Murasaki. Rinka barges in and all the goons start to shoot. All those muscles and guns, and they can't even beat a single injured girl. Well, she can thank her father, who was an ex-cop, for teaching her those moves. As she confronts Kabushi, she doesn't hesitate to tell where Murasaki. That's because she has her eyes on the samurai guy's stone and steals it and disappears. They are immediately teleport to rescue Murasaki, but Hothokeda in God mode prevents them and caught them in his hand. Peggy couldn't stand the sight of Murasaki suffering as its arm suddenly turns into a shark and absorbs a glowing fish inside Hothokeda's body. While Kabushi fights off another samurai guy, Kakinashin, who is trying to take back the stone. However, Rindu saves her and she is completely fascinated with him. Rinka has Kyoutaru teleport everyone outside. Then she does her famous drop kick on Hothokeda, knocking him out and landing on the samurai. Seems when Peggy ate his glowing fish, his power is no more. The flattened samurai throws everyone away, and one of the samurais unmasks and turns out to be Minami. This leaves Kyoutaru in shock. She wants him to join their cause to change the world. Then unknown big monster appear and Minami takes back the stone and disappears, warning the next time he gets in her way, she'll cut him down. Kabushi now stays at the shop owner place. Kabushi claims she isn't leaving till she finds out from Kyoutaru more about Minami. Rindu looked into Kyoutaru's background. When he was young, he lost his parents and was left behind in the middle of a country's civil war. He saw his friends die, and he was about to meet his same fate when Minami saved him and made him her adoptive brother. Rinka finds depressed Kyoutaru Kyoutaru tells his story. He hasn't seen Minami for 2 years after she disappeared with her father. The last time he saw her, she was crying. That's why he wanted to find her, why she is doing this, as she is originally a good person. Rinka offers to help anytime she can, and he is happy that she is truly his hero. He refreshes her memory about their meeting 6 months ago. Punks were beating him up and everyone turned a blind eye, till Rinka jumped in to save him without knowing the risk. That is why he adores her as a hero who can only get stronger. Rinka has him promise whatever happens next time, never to leave her behind again. Meeting up with Murasaki, she explains she sees strange visions when she touched things after a fish entered her body. Her father is in disbelief even after watching them demonstrate their power. Murasaki chastises her father for yelling at her friends. They dragged them into this and they even risked everything to save her. She don't want to go home to a house that treats such people as monsters. The shop owner home is getting crowded. They talk about Murasaki's parents, but it seems she has never met her mom. She died after giving birth. Because she feels useless even having such powers, she wants Rinka to help train her get stronger. Later, Edoyama was kind enough to stop by to give Murasaki her stuffs. He apologizes and regrets the way they live, as he couldn't handle the pressure of being a boss and a father at the same time. He gives a ring belonging to her mother. If she has power, he hopes she can feel her mother's love through it. At the mere touch, she sees how mother gave birth to her and they were a happy family. She is happy that she has met her family for the first time. Such touching moment when Hokusai appears before them and wants to negotiate. The girls are transported into an illusion world, whereby Hokusai shows them the stone which has the power to unlock innate abilities in a living creature. They see that power in the form of glowing fish. Murasaki remembers seeing this guy and the one who has been releasing the fish in the past 3 months. He was trying to find the collector that would eventually gather them but didn't know what form it would take. And now he knows Peggy the collector is a penguin. He asks Rinka's reason to fight. Is it for justice or her love for Kyoutaru? He invites her to come over to his side to create a new world order. In a week, he will bring a miracle to the city and he hopes for a favorable answer after she watches it. They are returned to reality. And as tell the rest who didn't see anything, Kyoutaru believes it could be his adoptive father, Hokusai. Further flashbacks reveal Hokusai and Minami picked him up from the war zone and back to Japan, where they continue to lead a normal life. Minami saw him getting bullied at school, but he fought back. As she treated his injuries, she mentions about people having a fake peaceful front, but rotten inside. There are lots of such people in this city. It would be better to wipe the city off from the map. He is glad to hear her voice for the first time. Kyoutaru explains further to Rinka that his biological parents were archaeologists, and in the same team as Hokusai. That's why he is fascinated with artifacts and myths. When his powers awakened, he had a feeling it had to do with his parents' research and their deaths may be linked to Hokusai. He believes Minami is being used. But what is bugging Rinka is Hokusai's words if she loves him. Why blushing so hard that she is squeezing Peggy to death? Tomorrow morning, before Rinka and Murasaki set off from home, Nabeshima confronts them and wants them to come with him to the police station to answer questions about the white girl. Because Maruyama had accused them, so it is better he hears it from the source. However, a ship is reported floating above the city. Rinka, of course, can't sit still and goes off herself to investigate. Kabushi and Kyoutaru arrive first on the ship. The police helicopter sends out warning, but a rock is dropped on them. What a joke. Then Kyoutaru gets an arrow through his throat. Kabushi fights back, but it seems her sister, Kazuki, defends Hokusai with her barrier. With some chain charm of Tsukuzabiru pointing to Kabushi's location, Kabushi's invisibility is pointless, so any surprise attack is useless. If you are wondering why Kyoutaru is still alive after that fatal shot, it is because this is just Hokusai's illusion. Hokusai gives a real gun to Kazuki to shoot and injure her sister. Not an illusion. Real pain. Kyoutaru tries to teleport and escape, but Hokusai always overrides his destination and bring him closer instead. He stabs his sword through his palm and shows him his true face. Half of it badly burnt. Then here comes Rinka with her super kick. Minami blocks it, although it sends her flying. Hokusai reveals his plan to drop the ship on the city as Minami beats up Rinka. She clarifies to Kyoutaru that she is here not under any influence, but on her own free will. This is for the sake of their new world. To do that, they must destroy the current value of society. Hokusai intercepts all networks and makes his announcement to demand an establishment of a special territory for Spurs. As he tilts the tanker, unconscious Rinka is in danger of falling off. Kyoutaru breaks free from the sword at the expense of his hand to dive down and save her. The ship is dropped near a transmission tower and causes chaos to the ground below. Although Rinka is fine, Kyoutaru tells her to get help for Kabushi first. She brings her to a rescue team, and when she returns, she is confronted by Minami. who criticizes her lack of faith. She will take custody of Kyotaro from now on. Because there are people trapped underneath the rubbles, Rinka is forced to let Minami go, and with Rindu helping, they scan and free trapped people. However, there are those who have already died, and this causes Rinka lots of distress. It is no surprise she sinks into depression. Nabeshima, who was Rindu's ex-partner, decides to let them go since they have more important things to worry about. Kabushi is also in shock by her loss and feels terrible for being worthless. Noticing Rinka is down, she tries cheering her up that Kyotaro is still alive, because if they wanted him dead, they could have killed him. Rinka trains with her father, and although it is not her fault, she still blames herself for being powerless. Suddenly some panda interrupts their training, including stealing Rinka's bra. Before she can beat up this perverted panda, Rindu stops her. He is Roshi Yadani, Rindu's martial arts teacher during his heydays as a cop. Murasaki and Kabushi are called after learning that Roshi has a faint spur power of clairvoyance. Every now and then he could see Rinka and Hokusai. His power is not powerful enough to see Kyotaru's location, but he can tell the upcoming terror is going to be real. That's why right now the city needs true heroes. Therefore he is here to help train them to follow the path of a hero. Hokusai wonders if Minami regrets coming with him. Not a bit. She goes to tend Kyotaru. He tries to teleport away when he regains consciousness, but since he is still under the influence of Hokusai, he can't pretty much move anywhere. Nabeshima shows Rindu a video of Hokusai's uprising. Because of this, the number of crimes involving Espers has increased, and lawmakers are working to pass legislation declaring all Espers as potential terrorists and putting them in watch. Rinka and Murasaki continue their training under Roshi. Rinka needs to be fast enough if she is going to defend herself from Roshi's perverted moves. She has also taught the basics of close combat fighting. Later, Kabushi talks to her to give her some encouraged talk that she needs to change her ways. Because if Rinka thinks she can avoid fighting, the next time she fights Minami she'll die. Kabushi remembers herself living like a stray dog, so watching Rinka and her family somewhat makes her feel at peace. After Rindu gives Rinka a package from Nabeshima, Kyotaru's crow head mask found on the scene, she becomes resolved to grow stronger and seeks Roshi's help for retraining. Soon, Roshi introduces one of his students to them, Ayumu, and he will be their sparring partner. Rinka cannot best Ayumu. It's like he sees through her. He even insults Murasaki that she can't fight, which is true. Rinka realized that Ayumu might be an Esper, so she tries a few sneak attacks, and true enough he managed to dodge or react to them. Rinka deduces that he can only see shortly into the future, because if he could see further, he would have avoided running into her. The only way to beat someone who can see the future is to react faster. You mean she is going to be like the Flash? And so we see snippets of Rinka pushing herself with her daily training till she can finally overcome his father, and her body accustomed to quick reflexes. When Peggy is playing with Rinka's bag, she stumbles upon her nightstick. When Murasaki touches it, she could see how Rinka uses it and learns from it. It's like she downloaded memories from that stick to use it for her own. Meanwhile, Ayumu's mom, Riaya, seems to be the cranky type. She's reminding him about studying, and at the same time she is a politician who is determined to win and apprehending those terrorists called Espers. Rinka has her rematch with Ayumu. This time she is able to react faster and beat him up. Roshi explains that despite Ayumu can see the future, it is useless if his body cannot react fast to it. The more he thinks, the slower he becomes. Rinka finally gains victory over him, although Ayumu claims he just let his guard down. Murasaki offers to fight him next. Ayumu is cocky, and before he knows it, he gets beaten up and lost. She used his Dragon Remember move. Ayumu's mother, Riaya, is giving a speech against the Esper terrorist. Ayumu is listening from afar when he bumps into Murasaki. Seems she is going to return her nunchucks to her dad and thinks it isn't really a suitable weapon. Suddenly a lightning guy unleashes an attack on the street. Wait, that was just a prediction from Ayumu. Then it happened. That's the thing when you see things that happen too close to reality. Lightning guy targets Riaya and is going to give her a taste of divine retribution. He wants to save her, but his legs are injured. Murasaki throws a stone at him to get his attention, but gets zapped. Just another prediction from Ayumu. However, this time he is able to stop her from throwing a second stone and starts apologizing. Seeing his mom will die in the next prediction, he goes up to him to claim he is an Esper too. But whatever he does, he sees he will die. He needs to neutralize his lightning and notices a water pipe. He breaks it, and although this reduces the lightning guy's tendency to use lots of his power, he can't whack him hard enough to knock him out. That's where Murasaki comes in, defeating this big dude with her Bruce Lee chops. Ayumu is glad his mom is alright, but she is giving him that worried face. She guesses her son is an Esper. Riaya has got lots of problems now. Now that her son is an Esper, if the public finds out, She fears her voters will be turned away and a resignation just won't do. Even if Ayamu says he is still him, not one of those terrorists, and that he has no intention of joining them. As Rinka continues her training, she could hear more people mocking Aspers, and a petition has even been launched against them. I guess she couldn't wait for her date with Kyoutaru to the amusement park, so she went there herself. Suddenly this freaky woman, Kobato, starts throwing her Molotov cocktail, claiming she will become a real Asper terrorist if she kills somebody. Too bad she had to pick Rinka and gets defeated easily. After she is rounded up and her Asper power taken away by Peg, she reveals she is doing this to meet Hokusai, the new creator of mankind. In fact, she was approached by Minami and convinced into doing it as a test. It seems Minami is going around doing the same to troubled girls. Amy, who doesn't give a damn about the police questioning her, and Lin, who attacked their customer. The restaurant owner is just providing his customers more than the food on his menu with her as extra service. All the gathered Aspers, including Kazuki, Amy, and Lin, are here. But Minami is in bad mood. I guess she is made to shoulder everything. She visits Kyoutaru again, but this time she sneaks up behind her and manages to teleport to the rooftop. His theory is correct that he is not affected if he touches her, but she overpowers him and brings him back. She can't understand why Kyoutaru don't see their ideals. Kyoutaru believes people should not control other people, and wonders why she has changed so much. On the contrary, she points out, he is the one who has changed. Peggy comes to deliver his broken glasses, a thank you note, and cookies from Murasaki. She owes him her life over that incident, and views him as a hero of justice. Rinka must be thinking so much about Kyoutaru that she could see visions of him. You can't imagine how happy she is to see him. Believe it or not, they just let him go like that this morning. Minami leads the Aspers to destroy a high school, pick on defenseless children. Also another place bringing back unpleasant memories for Minami. Several guys were going to gang rape her, but she teleported them right in the middle of the train tracks. So as the Aspers cause panic, Rinka is in a dilemma to risk revealing herself. But she can't stand innocent students being beaten up and transforms into white girl. Why attack this school? Because she is here. She is unable to take on Lin and Kazuki's simultaneous attack and beaten to the ground. She thought Kyoutaru is here to help, but it seems he has fallen under the mind control of Amy. Her friends are also hypnotized and start using her as a punching bag. She can't fight back her friends. This beatdown is recorded and shown live to everyone as warning for normal humans to go against them. Minami remembers she was shocked when Hokusai told her to let Kyoutaru and Rinka go, so to use them as examples. This is so they can discard the world who killed her mom and rebuild it from scratch. After all, she had already decided to abandon her humanity. Rinka is strangled and stepped on. So much so Kyoutaru cannot take it anymore and snaps out. However, Minami teleports him away to a faraway island, and Peggy is also captured in her hands. The glowing fish swims out from Rinka. Now with Rinka dead, Minami is certain Kyoutaru has nowhere to return. The Asper Regulation Act has been passed, and thus a special squad is formed to detain all of them. A squad formed overnight. Rinka wakes up in hospital with Rindu, Murasaki, Roshi, and Nabashima by her side. She is worried about Kyoutaru, but realizes she can no longer use her power. Roshi explains that her heart shortly stopped after the attack. The glowing fish may have thought she died and left her. She is forced to stay here because everyone knows her identity. Suddenly Torada, the head of the Asper detainment squad, and his men come in to arrest all of them. Although Rinka has no more power, they claim the attack happened because she was there. What a lame excuse, but enough to send Rinka into thinking it was really her fault. When Murasaki starts becoming Bruce Lee, the rest fight back to escape. Unfortunately, Roshi and Rindu got tranquilized, and the girls are made to run as reinforcements are streaming in. Even their house is not spared. But luckily Kabushi escapes in time. Murasaki returns to her father's house. They can only find safety here at this time. As she goes to get her father, Rinka continues to think back all the events that happened. She really believes it is her fault, and if she stays by Murasaki, she'll get hurt too. She can't protect anyone anymore and runs away by herself. Kyoutaru is trying to get back to Japan, but due to his limited teleporting range, he tires himself out. Rinka wanders around. Even the homeless guy tells her to leave. She is still thinking it is her fault, but she might be distressed because Kyoutaru didn't keep his promise to always be by her side. She gets arrested by those special squad guys. What's the point of resisting since there is no point living without Kyoutaru? Speaking of him, he is washed back ashore, partly saved by Minami. Although Hokusai intended to make a public execution out of him, but it's different from her. Kyoutaru accuses her of being the same as he killed people. Minami points out he is under ignorance and doesn't know the truth behind their parents' death. Rinka is now in a detainment center for Spurs. Roshi is there and has lost the use of his legs thanks to the tranquilizer. But nobody takes off his panda suit. Rindu is in a sleeping capsule, because those with hard-to-control powers are forced into a medical sleep. Kazuki sees a golden Ark of Covenant in Hokusai's room. He is going to tell her the story behind it. Time for a flashback that reveals it all. Hokusai and his wife Sarah, along with Kyoutaru's parents, Jutaru and Kyoika, are part of the expedition team successfully uncovering the Ark in a foreign land. The greedy and dumb general is so happy about finding the Old Testament that he drops one of them. Glowing fish swim out of it. Some of them enter their bodies. They wake up in hospital while some saw the fish, others like Jutaru didn't. To their surprise, those that did were able to use a superpower like Hokusai's illusion. Hokusai wants to form an international team to conduct more investigation on this, but the general wants all research to be done in this country. However, Hokusai already has contacted the Japanese diplomat, Washibana, and the general is not happy. He needs to negotiate. Hokusai knows that with the run-in with the general, for their safety they need to head back to Japan. However, all of them are called to the excavation site. Suddenly a gas bomb is tossed and the soldiers rush in and fire, killing all of them. Only Hokusai survives as he overhears Washibana making a deal with the general. He realizes that the Japanese government is also involved in this. But another bomb is tossed in to clean up the mess. Half of Hokusai's body is badly burned. Somehow he managed to survive and return to Tokyo. The nightmare only begins. He was cut off from his university as it was reported he ignored safety evacuations and let his team die. Everyone didn't believe his word and think he is trying to blame the government for his team's death. He thought of looking for Washibana, the guy who knows everything. But when he finds him, upon eye contact, it is like some hidden force forces Washibana to kill himself. The secret is forever buried. Hokusai is so enraged that he conjures up a demon and attacks that foreign country. He cuts off the general's limbs while explaining his plan to use the Ark as bait to lure out the mastermind behind all this out, and then kill the entire family. He killed the general too. No mercy. So as that land descended into anarchy, Hokusai remembers Jutaru and Kyoika telling him about their son, and that's where he picked up Kyoutaru in the decimated streets. Further flashback reveals after the bomb in the tomb, Sarah used all her last ounce of strength and power to heal part of him before she died. And now the time has come to put an end to this insane world. Kyoutaru ponders about what Minami said about their parents being killed. Although he still feels it is wrong to kill, he was asked if he can say the same for his parents' killers. Can he forgive them? But after thinking about Rinka, no use moping about it. What is wrong is still wrong. Might else well do something because action speaks louder than word. The special squad barges into Hokusai's base to arrest him. But he is all just an illusion. Left behind is a bomb. Kyoutaru has created a raft and gathered enough rations for his semi-teleporting journey back to Tokyo when he heard a voice talking to him. It is a pelican. Pelico was flying over the city when a glowing fish entered her body. Ever since, she could read thoughts of humans. She agrees to help guide Kyoutaru back. In exchange, he helps her find a suitable love mate. Ayumu is left wandering around because his mother told him to go to the detainment facility, as she could no longer protect him. It is Christmas Day in a heavily guarded Tokyo. Back to the first episode. Naturally, the detention facility is attacked so that the detained ones get freed and join their cause. Rinka will fight against them because there are things she wants to get back. It is a rematch with Amy and Lin. Amazingly, it is like Rinka has powered up even without her power. Thanks to all that training. Not only she can fight in the dark, she is fighting with her eyes closed. Single-handedly she takes down both those ladies. Was Roshi trolling about his legs because he can get up and do kung fu kicks just perfectly? They are rounded up as Rindu argues with Rinka that he won't let her go play hero again. He even goes as far to say this is not their responsibility, and he doesn't care what happens to others as long as she is safe, because he doesn't want to see her die again. Rinka feels disappointed to her father that isn't the person she used to know. He was her hero and wanted to be just like him. Although she might not make a difference, she still wants to fight as someone needs to stand up against them to tell everyone that not all Spurs are bad. Nabeshima has gathered a few police allies sympathetic to White Girl's cause, and they even go down on their knees to plead Rindu for his help. Our heroes storm into the floating Parliament House, but an T0ky0 ESP is going to zap them out of the sky. One of the guys in the detention facility uses his telekinetic shield to protect them. As an ex-boxer, he was touched by Rinka's words as there are things he wants to get back to. A couple of guys were tasked with just a simple job to guard Peggy down on the ground. It must be boring. Till they get owned big time by Murasaki, Ayumu and Kabushi. Murasaki is happily reunited with Peggy. Now it's time for them to break into the Parliament House, since Ayumu's mom is there. After Rinka barges in and secures the hostage, it is time for another grudge rematch with Minami. Let's get down to it. So while our girls fight, Roshi and the police guys are kept busy with Kakinashin. He is the one keeping the parliament afloat. I wonder why he tosses away his samurai armor, just to show off his big body. Because logically it should protect him from the bullets unless it's a hint telling us his body makes a better deflection of bullets. As Minami and Rinka fight it out, Minami blames her for dragging Kyoyutaru into this and to stop acting she knows him. She'll destroy the world and save him. But Rinka won't be put down by that, because she still strongly believes it is wrong to kill. Because Espers are still humans. Because if they continue as things are, the new world is no different. Kyoyutaru is fighting to save her from this meaningless war. If they had believed him, Espers and humans would have walked down a different path. Roshi and the police are defeated by the samurais. But thanks to Kabushi and Ko coming to their rescue, Kabushi shows us she has been training instead of bumming around as we see her. Because with her ultimate punch, she sends Kakinashin flying through the walls and into the night sky. So now who is keeping the place floating? Brace yourselves. Thanks to Rindu ripping his muscles to bring it down slowly, although pardon the rough landing. Ayumu is reunited with his mom and she is very sorry for what happened. She should be. Rinka just defeated Minami and reunites with Roshi. However, Murasaki has picked up Tsukuzaburu's chain and saw that this attack was just a distraction. Hokusai plans to use an electromagnetic transmitter to spread the glowing fish throughout the city. At Tokyo Sky Tree, Hokusai opens the ark and all the glowing fish start swimming. It's like the night sky is on fire. I guess everyone is going to be reborn as Espers. Of course Rinka isn't going to rest and goes to stop him, and Kabushi will help her. Rinka grabs one of the fish, and her power returns. Minami reports her failure, but Hokusai praises her playing her part well. Now that Rinka has arrived, time to fight the big boss. He clones himself. However, her plan of having Kabushi sneaking up failed, because she might be invisible but she couldn't hide her presence. Hokusai freezes them. Rinka couldn't stop thinking about Kyoyutaru, and what do you know? Here he comes floating down with Pelico. Since the pelican is a telepathic user, she is able to neutralize Hokusai's illusions. Hokusai orders Minami to kill Kyoyutaru for real. However, you can see from her face that she is pretty much reluctant. It sounded fishy when she asks him why it had to be Rinka. Kyoyutaru starts thanking her, and on the day she left, he felt sad because he was powerless. He couldn't do anything for her. Till he met Rinka, who believed in his words and ideals. That's why he was able to believe in her. If he had believed in Minami then, he would have wanted her to let her protect him too. And just with those smooth words, Minami is reduced to tears. Hokusai won't have it end like this and has Kazuki take the ark and Minami away. It's time to finish this. Hokusai says he didn't save him so that he could stop him, but rather he sensed he could bring about some miracle. The guys draw out their guns. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Hokusai is stabbed by a goddess. He tells Kyoyutaru to leave, for this is the path he chose. Then he gets divine punishment from some god. I don't even know what's happening anymore because the sky just turned red by this god's dragon trying to devour the glowing fish, or something. A week after this, the city continues to plunge into chaos with Esper-related criminal activity. Our heroes lament they couldn't stop them from changing the world. They couldn't do anything. However, Rinka refuses to throw in the towel. The world might have changed, but their ideals haven't. She remains positive they can do this because, like Kyoyutaru once said, only Espers can defeat Espers. And so Team Rinka continues to kick ass. Thank you for watching till the end, and please don't forget to subscribe.